Hi there, and welcome back to the Goon Squad, uh, where I talk about things geek, otaku, and nerdy. Today, we're going to talk about Black Widow. So, in Ontario, theaters finally opened on Friday to enough capacity that at least Cineplex in Ontario was feeling comfortable with opening up their theaters capacity wise. So, I took my wife and daughter to see Black Widow. Um, it was a good movie. I would say it was entertaining and enjoyable. Was it as impactful as some of the other movies in the MCU universe, Marvel universe? Um, no, but it told a good story. Usually, my rule of thumb is when I see films like this, I've had some experience with these characters in the comics to one degree or another. Um, my wife and daughter really haven't. So my daughter has watched most, if not all, the MCU movies and is slowly kind of working her way through the Disney Plus episodes of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki and WandaVision. Um, but my wife doesn't really have a lot of experience with that. So really, my benchmark is if we walk out of a movie like that, and my specifically my wife will say she enjoyed it or she found it entertaining. Um, to me, that's the benchmark of a good movie. To me, it's a benchmark of a good Marvel movie because um, somebody who's not completely invested in things can gets an idea of the story and is entertained by what's going on. Um, this movie kind of straddled that line. My wife enjoyed it, but there was a lot of questions that my daughter and I had to fill in for because the story bookends events in a couple of the earlier Marvel films that if you're not completely familiar with or you don't remember, you may be left kind of trying to juggle where this fits within that bigger timeline. Um, like I said, on the whole, the movie was entertaining. There was, for me, there was something, I don't know, there's something missing from it. I don't know if it wasn't a sense of urgency, and again, it could have been because when you look at like Infinity War and Endgame, there was quite a build up to and a lot of emotional investment in what was going on with those characters. There was there seemed to be a little less of that emotional investment. I didn't, I like I said, I enjoyed the film. I feel it was worthwhile to see in the theaters because it was kind of a spectacle, and we talked about that. My family, we joked about that. Um, because we'd seen some previews for other films of mine. It's like, I think that's one we can just wait and watch at home when it hits whatever streaming service it's going to hit, as opposed to going to the theater and seeing that. Um, I think this film gets done justice by seeing on the big screen. I know it was released simultaneously on Disney Plus. I think even if you're sitting in front of a 50 or 60 or 75-inch TV, I think it diminishes the scope of what this movie was trying to do, and I think it diminishes the scope of a lot of superhero movies if you watch them at home. Not to say that you can't, and it's more comfortable, and it make people may feel safer. That I understand completely. Um, but just as an aside, the way we were, the theater, we went to a show at 11:45. There was maybe in total was there 20, 25 people in the entire theater, and we were spaced out. There was nobody from the sense of rows. The next row that had people in it was 3 or 4 rows away from us, like forward of us. And the closest people were sitting 3 seats away from myself, which is more like we're talking 8.5 feet away from me. Like I didn't feel unsafe in these post kind of COVID times being in a theater. Now I kept my mask on for the bulk of it. I took it off to have a drink. Um, I think my daughter sat there for the bulk of the time not wearing her mask, only because she didn't quote unquote feel comfortable. But it wasn't like I felt like we were taking a huge risk being in the theater. Anyways, like I said, I'm trying to keep this spoiler free. So if you haven't seen the movie, you you can still listen to this and hopefully go and enjoy it and not have anything spoiled. Um, but like I said, this movie, I think there could have been opportunities to create some little elements in there that would have helped tie it to other events or give people a frame of reference, especially if you don't remember it. You don't, I'm not saying you should go back and rewatch, a whole bunch of Avenger films or whatever, and to get an idea of where Black Widow fits in this. Um, it was entertaining. I mean, I walked out thinking, okay, that wasn't a waste of time and money. Um, and I think it did an interesting job of expanding that character. Um, the post credit scene had me kind of scratching my head because I'm like, where are we really heading with this? And I don't know if that was intentional in the sense that it's trying to set something up um, further in the MCU that then they can, exploit, which I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But I walked out going, I don't quite get where we're headed with that. Um, and my wife even kind of mentioned at the end that she had thought that it was going to go in a somewhat different direction than it did. So again, is it worth it to see it in the theaters? Yes. Is it going to cost you a little more than spending, at least in Canada, if you're watching it in Premier Access, excuse me, on Disney Plus? It's $30 in tax. If you're not feeling comfortable going to a theater, by all means, watch it on Premier Access. Um, are you going to be upset if you wait until it hits Disney Plus and you don't have to pay the extra? I don't think so. Um, it was a good addition to the MCU. Was it the best next step? I don't know. The jury's still out on that. I don't think so. It was a good movie. It was a good story, and it introduced us to some interesting characters. But I felt like we could have done well, when I say we, they could have done some things differently with that character development to create a little bit more of a kind of a that palpable excitement of why you're watching these characters deal with what they're dealing with. Again, that being said, if you're a Marvel fan, go see it. You won't be disappointed. You won't walk out of there thinking, If you're not a Marvel fan, you live with a Marvel fan, um, it's a good movie to watch if you have no background. It'll be an interesting film to watch. Okay, it'll entertain you. It'll do what it's supposed to do, what a movie's supposed to do. Anyways, that's all for the Goon Squad today, and until the next time, have a great day.